Chapter 29:13. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, you're really naive. If I don't sacrifice you to the nether dragon blood curse, how can I break the soaring dragon formation? How can I break free? Lu Ming, rest in peace. If you can help me break free, you'll die a worthy death. Ha ha ha. Long Haoshan laughed maniacally and sped up his hand seals. The nether dragon blood curse on Lu Ming's body grew like wild grass. Countless small snakes extended out from Lu Ming's body. After these little snakes extended out, they entangled with the soaring dragon formation, firmly entangling the soaring dragon formation. Then, a gap was actually opened in the soaring dragon formation. A passage appeared where the nether dragon blood curse was entangled. Roar. At this moment, a roar came from the depths of the soaring dragon formation. This was the roar of a dragon. It carried a terrifying pressure that made Lu Ming's heart tremble. Divine Dragon, the soaring dragon formation is trapping a divine dragon. Long Haoshan's body is a divine dragon. Guamo shouted. Lu Ming's face also changed. He didn't expect that the existence occupying Long Haoshan's body was actually a divine dragon. Could it be the nether dragon of the divine dragons? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The nether dragon was an extremely rare divine dragon. However, it was an extremely terrifying existence. Every one of them had shocking strength. Roar, roar. Dragon roars came from the depths of the soaring dragon formation. They were filled with excitement. Ha ha ha, I'm about to break free. In the future, the Qin Tian starfield will be my world. Long Haoshan laughed and stepped into the passage opened by the soaring dragon formation. If the soaring dragon formation hadn't been opened, Long Haoshan definitely wouldn't have been able to enter. Now that the nether dragon blood curse had opened up a path in the rising dragon formation, he could pass through the formation and help his main body escape. Then, he could use the stellar core to recover his strength to his peak. Once he recovered to his peak, no one in the Qin Tian starfield would be his match. Lu Ming, you really are my lucky star. Long Zhoushan walked towards Lu Ming and sneered. Lu Ming now. At this moment, Bone transmitted a message to Lu Ming. Really? Am I really your lucky star? Lu Ming looked at Long Haoshan with a sneer. Lu Ming waved his hand, and a disc array flew out from Lu Ming's hand. This array disc was something that Lu Ming had asked Yu Wuya to refine. Before Lu Ming went to the dim light celestial river, Yu Wuya had already refined it and handed it to Lu Ming. As soon as the disc array flew out, it rapidly expanded and floated above Lu Ming's head. At the same time, it emitted countless rays of light that faintly resonated with the rising dragon formation. Bang, bang, bang. Just at this moment, the nether dragon blood curse on Lu Ming's body began to explode. It was like it was being crushed by some kind of energy. At the same time, the amount character art continuously poured energy into Lu Ming's body, allowing Lu Ming's divine energy to remain at its peak. What's going on? What's going on? Long Zhoushan's eyes widened in disbelief. He didn't understand why the nether dragon blood curse on Lu Ming's body would suddenly explode. He naturally didn't know that this was a disc array that Lu Ming had refined using Bone Devil's teachings. He had used the rising dragon formation's power to destroy it. Long Zhoushan, the one to die today is you, shouted Lu Ming. The disc array above his head began to emit dazzling light. Then Lu Ming waved his hand, and the entire rising dragon formation trembled. Then countless rays of light shot toward Long Zhoushan. Ah, what's going on? How can you control the rising dragon formation? Long Zhoushan shouted in disbelief. But in the next moment, the rising dragon formation's rays of light bombarded Long Zhoushan's body. Boom, boom. Long Zhoushan tried his best to resist. However, the rising dragon formation's power was too strong. Even with Long Zhoushan's strength, he couldn't resist it. The rays of light bombarded his body, and the powerful force suppressed Long Zhoushan. Boom. Long Zhoushan knelt on the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Roar. Long Zhoushan let out a beast-like roar. The terrifying divine energy of a divine king erupted. It was like a burning planet, trying to break free from the rising dragon formation's suppression. Kill him, Lu Ming shouted. The disc array above his head shone even brighter. It had completely merged with the rising dragon formation. This was the Bone Devil sect's Lu Ming's disc array. It was incomparably mysterious. It could control the rising dragon formation for a short period of time and suppress Long Zhoushan. Wang. The rising dragon formation seemed to have a mind of its own. Rays of light turned into chains, wrapping around Long Zhoushan. Although Long Zhoushan tried his best to resist, it was useless. His body was tightly bound by the rising dragon formation's light chains. These light chains had a terrifying suppressive effect. Once they were bound, they would kill their target. Ah, damn it! Long Zhoushan roared as he struggled. He couldn't believe it. Lu Ming could control the rising dragon formation. This was completely out of his expectations. He had researched for countless years, but he still couldn't find a way to control the rising dragon formation. If he knew such a method, why would he need to use Lu Ming to refine the Nether Dragon Blood Curse? He would have released his main body long ago. Lu Ming, a young disciple, actually knew how to control the rising dragon formation, but now he didn't have time to think about it. Escaping was the most important thing. Lu Ming, what are you doing? You really have guts. You dare offend your superior? Release me. Long Zhoushan roared, taking out his status as the Kongxian School's sect master to pressure Lu Ming. Laughable. You want my life, but I don't dare resist? Is there something wrong with your head? Lu Ming disdainfully sneered. Furthermore, you're not the Kongxian School's sect master, Long Zhoushan. The real Long Zhoushan soul has long since been destroyed by you. You're the nether dragon inside, right? How did you know? This time, Long Zhoushan was even more shocked. Lu Ming was actually able to guess this. He was practically a monster. Correct, I'm not Long Zhoushan. I'm the nether dragon. Lu Ming, do you know how strong I am? Once I escape, I can suppress the Qin Tian star field with a flip of my hand. Release me now, and I swear I won't harm your life. In fact, I'll even give you a great fortune, roared Long Zhoushan. Seeing that his threats weren't working, Long Zhoushan immediately changed his strategy. Great fortune? I don't care. I'll only be at ease after I get rid of you. Lu Ming snorted and continued to control the rising dragon formation to kill Long Zhoushan. Bang! Bang! Long Zhoushan's body let out a series of explosions as his divine power was crushed by the power of the rising dragon formation. Chapter 29:14. Long Zhoushan couldn't hold on any longer. The divine power in his body kept exploding. Then, wounds appeared on his body, and blood flowed out. Then, the rising dragon formation's power seeped into his body and targeted his soul. Roar! At this moment, Long Zhoushan let out a dragon's roar. A bright light shone from between his eyebrows. A pitch-black shadow of a nether dragon flew out from between his eyebrows in an attempt to escape. This was a part of the nether dragon's soul. It had taken over Long Zhoushan's body and controlled him. The nether dragon's soul was forced out by the rising dragon formation. The nether dragon's soul wanted to escape, but it was bound by the rising dragon formation's power and couldn't escape. Once the nether dragon's soul left, Long Zhoushan's body didn't have the ability to resist. It exploded and turned to dust under the rising dragon formation's attack. The Grandmaster of a generation, the sect leader of the Kongxian School, had truly disappeared from this world. Only a storage ring was left floating in the air. The rising dragon formation naturally wouldn't attack the storage ring. Lu Ming's heart thumped. He sent out divine power and wrapped the storage ring in his hand. Lu Ming could not hide the joy on his face. Long Zhoushan must have hidden the planetary core in his storage ring, and now it was in Lu Ming's hands. That was a peerless treasure that even divine kings would fight to the death for. How could Lu Ming not be tempted? Lu Ming, I'll make you die a horrible death. Long Zhoushan's soul roared crazily. He was being attacked by the rising dragon formation, and his soul was much weaker. If this continued, it wouldn't be long before he collapsed. Roar! At this moment, a shocking roar came from the depths of the rising dragon formation. It was the nether dragon's roar. Rumble! The entire land began to shake violently. Oh no! The nether dragon is trying to break through the formation. Guamo was a little nervous. Rumble! The shaking in the depths of the formation became more and more intense. Through the gap, One could see the huge nether dragon struggling with all its might. Its huge body twisted as it crawled towards Lu Ming. The nether dragon blood curse from before had opened a gap in the rising dragon formation. The nether dragon was going to climb out through this gap. Crash! Despite being very far away, the horrifying aura spread over, pressuring Lu Ming to the point that he almost couldn't breathe. Not good. Lu Ming, hurry up and destroy this part of the soul. Guamo hurriedly shouted. Kill! Kill! Lu Ming used all his strength to control the rising dragon formation to destroy that part of the nether dragon soul. Under the full force of the rising dragon formation, this part of the soul finally exploded with a bang and vanished into thin air. Lu Ming, you're courting death. Inside the rising dragon formation, the nether dragon let out an angry roar. His body emitted a scorching light. A terrifying aura gushed out like an avalanche and crashed into the rising dragon formation. His huge body continued to crawl through the gap from before. Two huge dragon eyes ferociously stared at Lu Ming, wanting to tear Lu Ming to pieces. The part of the soul that occupied the dragon mountain was not just a little bit. It was at least half of the nether dragon's complete soul. Otherwise, it would not have been able to control the dragon mountain for so many years and display such power. The loss of this part of the soul was very serious for the nether dragon. Therefore, Lu Ming had to die. Not good. Lu Ming, retreat. Get out of the rising dragon formation and use the rising dragon formation to suppress him. Guamo shouted. Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. He rapidly retreated and charged out of the rising dragon formation. Die! I want you to die! The nether dragon roared. Berserk power continued to erupt. He crazily charged through the gap from before. It had to be said that this nether dragon's strength was truly unfathomable. It had been suppressed here for who knew how many years. Now that a part of its soul had been destroyed, the strength it could display was still terrifying. The entire rising dragon formation was violently trembling. Suppress, suppress for me. Lu Ming used all his strength to control the rising dragon formation. Countless light chains wrapped around the nether dragon. But as the nether dragon struggled, many of the light chains shattered. The nether dragon slowly crawled out of the rising dragon formation. The main thing was that the nether dragon blood curse had opened a gap in the rising dragon formation. Without this gap, no matter how strong the nether dragon was, it would not have been able to charge out. But now, it was in danger. Bang! Bang! This nether dragon had 7 dragon claws on its abdomen. It was a 7-clawed divine dragon. His 7 dragon claws stepped on the ground step by step as he walked towards the outside. Although he was constantly attacked by the rising dragon formation, leaving wounds on his body, he did not care and charged out with all his strength. He knew that this was his last chance. If he did not take this chance to escape, he would be trapped here forever. He would not have the chance to escape until his lifespan ran out. So even if he had to pay a great price, he had to escape. Moreover, Lu Ming still had a star core on him. As long as he escaped, he could kill Lu Ming and obtain the star core on Lu Ming's body. Then he would be able to recover a portion of his strength in a short amount of time. So he charged out without any regard for his life. Soon, he had reached half the distance. Roar! The nether dragon roared, and a terrifying pressure charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body trembled and he retreated, spitting out a mouthful of blood. The nether dragon was too strong, much stronger than Lu Ming. Even if his strength was greatly reduced, a portion of his soul destroyed, and he was heavily injured by the rising dragon formation, he was still shockingly strong. Not good. If this continues, he might really escape. Once he escapes, he will definitely be the first to chase after you. You won't be able to escape from such an existence. The bone demon shouted. Then what do we do? Asked Lu Ming. Fight. I can only fight. This time, I can only fight with my life on the line. The bone demon's eyes revealed a ruthless look. How? Asked Lu Ming. Take the initiative to attack and charge into his mouth. Then, use all your strength to control the rising dragon formation to deal with him. I will use a secret technique to completely destroy his soul, said the bone demon. Okay, let's do that. Lu Ming was a decisive person. Although this was like a sheep entering the tiger's mouth and was very dangerous, he still decided to do it. He would fight to rise from the brink of death. Roar. At this moment, the nether dragon opened his mouth and roared, his killing intent as cold as a knife. Now, shouted the bone demon. Before the bone demon's voice had even faded, Lu Ming had already charged out and charged into the nether dragon's mouth. You're courting death. Watch me completely refine you. The nether dragon roared and his divine power surged, enveloping Lu Ming. Chapter 29:15. You're the one who's going to die. Lu Ming roared. The disc above his head lit up as he used all his strength to control the rising dragon formation to suppress the nether dragon. He had no choice but to use even more divine power to block the rising dragon formation. This way, he would have much less divine power to deal with Lu Ming. Now, watch me. I'm going to go all out. The bone devil roared. Its body emitted a terrifying black light. It opened its mouth and spat out an ugly earthen jar. Buzz. The earthen jar vibrated slightly and emitted an incomparably terrifying aura. This aura made Lu Ming's entire body tense up. It was as if he was facing an extremely terrifying powerhouse. Then the jar gave off a light that enveloped Lu Ming. This light could help Lu Ming block the nether dragon's divine power outside. Lu Ming, you can't block it. I'll go destroy his soul. The bone demon roared and charged into the jar. Then he controlled the jar to soar into the sky and disappear from Lu Ming's sight. He seemed to be flying towards the nether dragon's head. Roar! Roar! Not long after, the nether dragon let out an earth-shaking roar. The divine power attacking Lu Ming was greatly reduced. Who are you? Who are you? The nether dragon kept roaring as if he was terrified. His huge body continued to struggle and roll as he slowly rushed out of the rising dragon formation. Slowly, his head left the rising dragon formation. This made the nether dragon struggle even stronger. Waves of divine power whizzed and charged toward Lu Ming. The impact caused the layer of light shield outside Lu Ming's body to vibrate continuously. Bone demon, you have to hurry. Otherwise, I'll die here. Lu Ming roared in his heart, but there was nothing he could do. He could only use all his strength to control the rising dragon formation to suppress the nether dragon. Just like this, another moment passed. The majority of the nether dragon's body had already left the rising dragon formation. His struggle and counterattack became more and more intense. No, I beg you, spare me. At this moment, the nether dragon let out a terrified cry and begged for mercy. Disappear. Then the bone demon's cold voice sounded. Roar. The nether dragon let out an unwilling roar. The next moment, the divine power attacking Lu Ming all retreated and disappeared without a trace. Did you succeed? Lu Ming had an expectant expression. Whoosh. At this moment, the bone demon controlled the jar and appeared in front of Lu Ming. Senior bone demon, did you succeed? Lu Ming asked hopefully. Success. The damage to my strength. The bone devil cried out miserably. Every time you make a move, you say that you've suffered great losses. Yes, I will. Lu Ming could only smile apologetically. This time. Senior bone demon, what do we do now? Lu Ming asked. This nether dragon's corpse is good stuff. I can stay here for a while. You control the rising dragon formation and let the nether dragon out. I can also control him to fight off the enemies outside. The bone demon said. Okay. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He immediately controlled the rising dragon formation to stop suppressing the nether dragon. The bone demon's body flashed and entered the nether dragon's mind. Then, he controlled the nether dragon's body and successfully climbed out of the rising dragon formation. Once out of the rising dragon formation, Lu Ming flew out of the nether dragon's mouth. Boom. At this moment, a shocking aura erupted from the nether dragon's body. This aura made Lu Ming's heart tremble. It was even stronger than the dragon mountain from before. This nether dragon has such terrifying strength. Now that its soul has been destroyed and it has been suppressed for so many years, it can still release such an aura. It's really shocking. Lu Ming sighed. Of course. This nether dragon was an existence that surpassed the godly king realm when it was at its peak. The bone demon's voice came from the nether dragon's forehead. An existence that surpassed the godly king realm? Lu Ming sighed and looked forward to it. A godly king was an existence that could destroy a planet. How strong was an existence that surpassed the godly king realm? Xian Yinqing's condition for Lu Ming was to surpass the godly king realm. Only then could he find her and help her. He must reach that realm. Lu Ming, come up. I will bring you out. Let's defeat those who attacked the Kongxian school first. You still need to stay in the Kongxian school. The bone demon said. Lu Ming nodded. He moved and landed on the head of the nether dragon. The nether dragon twisted its body and dashed out. At this moment, the mysterious Kongxian planet was in danger. The leaders of the Mystic Academy, the invincible Kinzo, and the immeasurable sacred ground led their godly king realm experts to attack the Kongxian school's astral guardian array. Not only them, but the top 10 sects also joined in and attacked the Kongxian school's astral guardian array. Although the Kongxian school's astral guardian array was powerful, there were too many experts. After holding on for so long, it was in danger and could collapse at any time. Dragon Mountain, get out here. Don't think that you can stop us with just an astral guardian array. The dean of the Mystic Academy roared. His aura was as deep as the ocean as he formed a demonic sword and slashed at the Kongxian school's astral guardian array. That's right. You want to keep the stellar core for yourself? Don't even think about it. Hand it over. The sect master of the invincible Kinzo continued to attack. Every slash of his sword seemed to be able to split the mysterious Kongxian planet in half. Rumble. The Kongxian school's astral guardian array shook under the terrifying attacks. Bam. Bam. Suddenly, the Kongxian school's astral guardian array cracked. Oh no, the astral guardian array is about to break. An elder of the Kongxian school exclaimed. Once the astral guardian array was broken, they would not be able to withstand the attacks of so many experts. Sect Master. Where did the Sect Master go? The Sect Master disappeared with Lu Ming. I don't know where they went. What should we do? Everyone in the Kongxian school was anxious like ants on a hot pan. Bam. Bam. More and more cracks appeared on the astral guardian array. In the end, there was an earth-shattering explosion. The astral guardian array completely collapsed and disappeared. The aura of the dean of the Mystic Academy and the sect master of the invincible Kinzo engulfed the Kongxian school like a storm. Everyone in the Kongxian school felt as if a mountain was pressing down on them. Their faces were filled with fear and they broke out in cold sweat. They felt like they were in trouble. Chapter 29:16. The dean of the Mystic Academy scanned the Kongxian school from top to bottom with his piercing gaze. Those who were caught in his gaze shuddered in fear and dared not look him in the eye. Even the Divine King experts of the Kongxian school reacted the same way. The dean of the Mystic Academy was the true overlord of the Qin Tian Star Zone. He stood at the pinnacle of the universe and most divine kings were no match for him. In the entire Kongxian school, only the Dragon Zhoushan was a match for the dean of the Mystic Academy. This was also the reason why the Kongxian school was able to become the leader of the top 10 sections. The other sect lords of the top 10 sects were no match for the dean of the Mystic Academy. Now that Dragon Zhoushan was not around, no one dared to face the dean of the Mystic Academy. Where is Dragon Zhoushan? Get him out here. The dean of the Mystic Academy shouted. Senior, we don't know where Overlord Dragon Zhoushan is either. An elder of the Kongxian school replied. You don't know where he is? Do you think hiding is going to help? I will destroy the Kongxian school and see where he can hide. The dean of the Mystic Academy said coldly. His voice was filled with murderous intent. Not good. Everyone in the Kongxian school was shocked. Boom. The dean of the Mystic Academy made his move. He waved his hand and a gigantic demonic palm appeared and pressed down on the Kongxian school. The demonic palm was so big that it covered the Kongxian school's inner and outer gates. If the palm landed on the Kongxian school, it would be razed to the ground. Stop him. Let's work together. Inside the Kongxian school, there were angry voices. Then, 9 figures rose into the sky. They were the 9 founding elders of the Kongxian school. All of them were divine kings. They attacked together, each of them unleashing their ultimate skills. 9 brilliant attacks were launched towards the demonic palm in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. 9 terrifying collisions were heard. The sky and the earth trembled violently. Finally, the demonic palm was blocked and dispersed in the air. However, the 9 elders of the Kongshian school let out muffled groans. Their bodies trembled violently as they fell towards the Kongshian school's mountain gate and heavily smashed into the ground. Those with weaker cultivations spat out mouthfuls of blood, their faces pale. After all, there was still a huge gap between them and the dean of the Mystic Academy. Although they managed to block his attack, they were also injured. Humph, let's see how many of my moves you can block. The dean of the Mystic Academy snorted coldly. A demonic sword flew out from his body and he held it in his hand. A terrifying sword intent emanated from the sword. Everyone in the Kongshian school was in despair. If the dean of the Mystic Academy were to attack with his full strength, the Kongshian school would have to mobilize most of the founding elders to stand a chance. However, one must not forget that the Hybrid Devil Academy still had other Grand Elders. In addition, there were also the elites from the Invincible Kinzo and the Immeasurable Sacred Ground. If all of them attacked together, the Kongshian school would be destroyed in an instant. It's over. Some people's faces were pale. Were they going to die here today? Headmaster, my Paragon clan is willing to submit to the Emo Academy. Headmaster, please spare our lives. At this moment, a voice was heard from the Kongshian school. Then, a person stepped out of the voice and stood in midair. He bowed respectfully to the dean of the Mystic Academy. Zhizuandong, it's him. He's going to submit to the Mystic Academy. Shameless traitor. Many people from the Kongshian school cursed in their hearts, but they did not dare to say it out loud. Oh, you want to submit to me? The dean of the Mystic Academy said. Not me, but the Supreme Family. Why aren't you coming out? Zhizuandong glanced at the people from the Supreme Family. Following this, several figures flew out from the formation. Among them were Zhiqiankuan and the other members of the Supreme Family. There were many elites and even 2 founding elders. Okay, I agree. The dean of the Mystic Academy nodded and agreed. This was a powerful force. It would be a waste if he did not take it. Thank you, Dean. From now on, the Supreme Family will follow your lead. Zhizuandong hurriedly said. Zhizuandong, you despicable traitor. How dare you betray the Kongshin school? At this moment, an angry roar sounded. It was Yu Wuya. He stared at Zhizuandong with an angry face. What do you mean by shameless? This is called a wise man submits to circumstances. Yu Wuya, I advise you to surrender. What's the point of resisting? Zhizuandong sneered. Despicable is despicable. You still have so many excuses for yourself. Yu Wuya shouted angrily. Zhizuandong, I've misjudged you. Your Supreme Family is full of ungrateful wretches. The other founding elders of the Kongshian school also shouted angrily. Humph. Zhizuandong snorted. His face was extremely gloomy. He said coldly, a bunch of stubborn fools. I won't accompany you if you want to die. After saying that, Zhizuandong led the people from the Supreme Family and flew toward the Dean of the Mystic Academy. Then, they stood obediently beside the Dean of the Mystic Academy like obedient dogs. Lu Ming, let's see how you're going to die this time. Zhizuandong roared in his heart as he stood among the crowd. His gaze scanned the Kongshian school. He wanted to find Lu Ming and kill him. It was a pity that he could not find Lu Ming even after looking around. Since you're not here, then the people closest to you will die. Ouyang Qingxiang and Lu Ming's faction. Zhizuandong's gaze swept over Ouyang Qingxiang, and Hai, Lu Chong, and the others. Who else wants to surrender? If you join the Invincible Kinzo, I won't pursue the matter. At this moment, the Invincible Kinzo's sect master stepped forward. The Kongshin school subordinates weren't weak. They were also envious. If you join the Immeasurable Sacred Ground, I won't pursue the matter. The Immeasurable Sacred Ground sect master also spoke. Within the Kongshin school, some people's eyes flickered. Some people were tempted. If they insisted on contending with the major factions, they would only die. Surrendering would give them a chance to live. they had cultivated for so many years, and their lifespans were extremely long. Once they reached the martial god realm, they would be able to live for a stellar star year. Who would be willing to be killed? You want us to be traitors? Don't even think about it. Once we become traitors, we'll be cursed for eternity. Not only us, but our future generations won't be able to raise their heads. We're definitely not traitors. You can give up, roared Yu Wuya. His words made some people from the Jizun families turn red with shame. It also made some people who originally wanted to surrender hesitate. That's right. Once they betrayed, they would be cursed for eternity. Others might not dare say it in front of them, but they would definitely point fingers behind their backs. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The Mystic Academy's sect master's eyes turned cold as he looked at Yu Wuya. Then, a demonic sword slashed at Yu Wuya. This sword's power was boundless. Yu Wuya's expression was extremely grave as he pushed his strength to the limit. He wanted to block this sword. Chapter 29:17. Yu Wuya's body glowed with radiance as he turned into a full moon. The moon shone brightly in the sky. The power of this move was not weak, but it was still inferior to the attack of the Dean of the Mystic Academy. The demonic sword pierced through the air and slashed the full moon. The full moon shook violently before it was split in half by the demonic sword. The moonlight dissipated as Yu Wuya's figure appeared in mid-air. He was coughing out blood as his body was almost split in half. There was a deep wound on his body that was extremely hideous. There was even a pitch-black demonic chi on it. Yu Wuya's body was thrown back and fell towards the entrance of the Kongxian school. Father! Grandfather! A few voices rang out as a few figures flashed and caught Yu Wuya. They were Yu Xian, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others. Their faces were filled with anxiety. Old man Yu, you're so stubborn. You're courting death. Seeing that Yu Wuya was severely injured in one move, Jizun was extremely happy and mocked him. The faces of the other members of the Kongxian school were pale. Some of them hesitated again, considering if they should surrender. The Dean of the Mystic Academy was too strong. Other than Dragon Zhoushan, no one in the Kongxian school could defeat him. Even someone as strong as Yu Wuya was injured in one move. I'll give you one more chance. Swear on your life origin that I'll spare your life if you surrender to me. The Dean of the Mystic Academy stared at Yu Wuya and said again, kill me if you want. You want me to surrender and be your dog? Dream on. Yu Wuya roared. Jizun moved. Jizun and the others' faces darkened when they heard this. It was obvious that Yu Wuya was calling them dogs. All right, since you want to die, I'll grant you your wish. The Dean of the Mystic Academy said coldly. A demonic sword soared into the sky, exuding a terrifying aura. The fatal attack was about to land. With Yu Wuya's current state, he would definitely not be able to block this attack. Xingimo, if you want to die, why don't you try? At this moment, a voice came from afar. It was filled with cold killing intent and an unquestionable tone. Many people were shocked. Xingimo was the name of the Dean of the Mystic Academy. However, in the Qintian star field, other than a few people, no one dared to call him by his name. They all respectfully addressed him as Dean or Lord Dean. But now, there was someone who dared to call the Dean of the Mystic Academy by his name and even threatened him. Who was it? How audacious. This is? Ouyang Qingxiang, Yu Linglong, and Hai, and the others were astonished. This was because they recognized the voice. It was Lu Ming's voice. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming, that bastard. Paragon of Universe roared furiously. He hated Lu Ming to the core and naturally remembered Lu Ming's voice clearly. Who is it? Show yourself. The Dean of the Mystic Academy stopped his attack and stared coldly in the direction of Lu Ming's voice. Roar. A dragon's roar came from that direction, causing the void to tremble. Following that, an incomparably huge divine dragon appeared in front of them. This divine dragon was naturally the Nether Dragon, and Lu Ming was standing on its head. A divine dragon? What a terrifying aura. Look, there's someone on the divine dragon's head. It's Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Many of the Kongxian school's disciples cried out. They recognized Lu Ming. Even more people were shocked. Lu Ming had appeared on a divine dragon. This divine dragon's aura was extremely terrifying. Brat, were you the one who spoke just now? The Mystic Academy's dean stared coldly at Lu Ming. If it were anyone else, they would probably tremble in fear if they were stared at by someone like the Mystic Academy's dean. But Lu Ming completely ignored him. He was still glaring at the Mystic Academy's dean with killing intent. Not bad. Looks like you're not that stupid, Lu Ming said indifferently. Many people's hearts pounded. They were almost scared to death. Did Lu Ming eat a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? He actually dared to call the Mystic Academy's dean stupid. Did he not want to live anymore? This brat is really courting death. Ha ha ha, that's good. Saves me the trouble of doing it myself. Universe Supremacy laughed and sighed. This brat is dead for sure. Many people had the same thought. Ouyang Qingxiang, Yu Ling Long, and the others were sweating for Lu Ming. Ha ha ha, good, very good. I don't know how many years it has been since someone dared to say that to me. Very good. I'll make you beg for death. The Mystic Academy's dean laughed in anger. His body emitted cold, killing intent. Boom. Suddenly, the Mystic Academy's dean attacked. A huge demonic claw appeared and grabbed at Lu Ming, enveloping both Lu Ming and the Nether Dragon. Not good. Ouyang Qingxiang and the others' expressions changed. However, with their strength, they could only watch. They couldn't help. However, facing this attack, Lu Ming's expression was still calm. There was even a trace of disdain. When the demonic claw was about to reach, the Nether Dragon moved. Roar! The Nether Dragon roared. A black dragon claw emitted a dim light as it grabbed at the dean. Bang! When the Nether Dragon's claw clashed with the Mystic Academy's dean's demonic claw, there was only a slight poof before the Nether Dragon's claw was destroyed. Following this, the Nether Dragon roared. 7 dragon claws from its abdomen stepped out and clawed at the Mystic Academy's dean. So strong. Many people's hearts pounded. The Nether Dragon's strength exceeded everyone's expectations. It easily destroyed the Mystic Academy's dean's attack and even started a counterattack. The Mystic Academy's dean's expression changed. He roared and the demonic sword in his hand howled. Rays of terrifying sword light slashed at the Nether Dragon. Clang! Clang! The demonic sword light clashed with the dragon claw, creating an ear-piercing sound. It was like metal clashing. Sparks flew everywhere. A terrifying force swept in all directions. Not good. Retreat. Many people's expressions changed. The battle between the Nether Dragon and the Mystic Academy's dean was too shocking. The force that spread everywhere was terrifying. If anyone below the Divine King level was caught in it, they would probably die. However, Lu Ming was naturally fine. He stood on the Nether Dragon's head and was protected by the Nether Dragon's energy. Continuous explosions sounded. In an instant, the two sides had exchanged over 100 blows. Roar! The Nether Dragon roared furiously. Its huge body twisted and powerful divine power surged out. It shot out along the dragon claw. The Mystic Academy's dean's sword light shook violently. It couldn't block it and started to shatter. In the end, a dragon claw pierced through the sword light and grabbed at the Mystic Academy's dean. The Mystic Academy's dean's expression changed. He roared and slashed out a vast sword light. In the next moment, the sword light shattered. The Mystic Academy's dean's body shook violently. He retreated thousands of miles, and a trace of blood seeped out of his mouth. CC Simony people gasped. The Mystic Academy's dean wasn't a match and was injured. This was unbelievable. Chapter 29:18. In the Qintian starfield, the dean of the Hybrid Demon Academy stood at the pinnacle. Even the sect leader of the Immeasurable Sacred Ground, and the sect leader of the Indestructible Sword Sect, and the sacred leader of the Immeasurable Sacred Ground were on par with him. Only the legendary figures of the Scarlet Flame Tribe and the Ice Soul Tribe could injure him. But now, a young man riding a divine dragon had appeared and injured the dean of the Mystic Academy. This, Ouyang Qingxiang, Yu Ling Long, and the others were stunned. Where did this divine dragon come from? It was too strong. It could injure the dean of the Mystic Academy. It was definitely an overlord. However, such a powerful existence actually allowed Lu Ming to ride on its head? The stronger the existence, the more arrogant they would be. Riding on their head was a great humiliation. It was like an ordinary person stepping on the dean of the Mystic Academy. It was unbelievable. Lu Ming, I can't see through him at all. Ouyang Qingxiang whispered. They weren't the only ones who thought so. The others had the same thought. At this moment, Lu Ming's figure was growing taller and taller in their eyes. He seemed to be shrouded in a layer of mist, giving people an unfathomable feeling. How is this possible? How is this possible? Supreme Universe Master and the others' eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Especially Supreme Universe Master. He was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. He kept yelling in his heart. Why was Lu Ming so lucky? Why didn't all of this belong to him? You're just a third King God Realm cultivator. You can only do whatever you want in the Qin Tian star area. Let me send you to hell. Lu Ming stood on the head of the underworld dragon, looking down at the Dean of the Mystic Academy. The Dean of the Mystic Academy, Xingmo, was a third King God Realm cultivator. Of course, Lu Ming didn't know that. Guamo told him that. It was extremely difficult to break through to the Divine King Realm. Each breakthrough was extremely difficult. It required a huge amount of resources, talent, and luck. Otherwise, it would be difficult to break through. Of course, the gap between each level was huge. Although the gap between the empty God Realm, the true God Realm, and the heavenly God Realm was huge, it was far from the Divine King Realm. In the Divine King Realm, the higher one's cultivation base, the higher one's cultivation base, the higher one's cultivation base, the higher one's cultivation base. In the Qin Tian star area, most God Realm cultivators were at the first King God Realm. Second King God Realm cultivators were the strongest among the Divine Kings. For example, Yu Wuya of the Sky Xian sect was a second Heaven King God Realm expert. Divine King God Realm cultivators of the three great were Divine King God Realm. Besides, the patriarchs of the top 10 sects were also at the second King God Realm. Of course, the Dragon Mountain was an exception. On the other hand, the Dean of the Hybrid Demon Academy, the Patriarch of the Imperishable Sword Sect, and the Boundless Saint Prince were all existences of the third King God Realm. Realm Divine Heaven God Realm S's gods. Earth levels. Third King God Realm was the peak of the Qin Tian star area. However, it was said that the Scarlet Flame Clan and the Ice Soul Clan had fourth King God Realm experts. But they were rare. They were usually in seclusion. After the Nether Dragon's voice, he continued to attack the Mystic Academy's Dean. The Mystic Academy's Dean shouted furiously. He tried his best to fight against the Nether Dragon. However, he was still defeated. After a few moves, he was pushed back again. His body was almost torn apart by the Nether Dragon's dragon claw. Even so, there was a wound on his body. Who are you? Who are you? You're definitely not from the Qin Tian star area. Which star area are you from? The Mystic Academy's Dean shouted. You don't have the right to know who I am. Die. The Nether Dragon roared and continued to attack the Mystic Academy's Dean. Attack. Attack together. Do you two want to watch him defeat us one by one? The Mystic Academy's Dean shouted. At first, he was talking to the godly kings of the Mystic Academy. Then, he was talking to the invincible Kinzo's sacred leader and the boundless sacred land's sacred leader. He knew that he wasn't Nether Dragon's Dean alone. In the next moment, the Mystic Academy's godly kings attacked together with Xingmo. They attacked the Nether Dragon. At the same time, the invincible Kinzo's sacred leader and the boundless sacred land's sacred leader also attacked the Nether Dragon. With so many experts working together, their power could destroy the heavens and earth. Good. A bunch of ants. Today, I'll show you how strong I am. The Nether Dragon, or Guamo, roared. The Nether Dragon's body shone with a dark light. His huge body twisted as he charged at the experts. Bang! Bang! The Nether Dragon's dragon claw continuously stepped out. Each claw was huge and could destroy hundreds of mountains. At the same time, the Nether Dragon's horn shone with light. It was even sharper than a divine blade. The Nether Dragon attacked with all his strength. He didn't care about his own defense. Die! Xingmo, the invincible Kinzo's sacred leader, and the others roared. Terrifying attacks landed on the Nether Dragon's body. They wanted to kill him. But the instant their attacks landed, their expressions changed dramatically. This was because when their attacks landed on the nether dragon's body, it was like attacking a sturdy weapon. Let alone breaking through the nether dragon's defense, they couldn't even leave a mark on the dragon's scales. How was this possible? Their eyes widened. They couldn't believe it. Not good. Following this, their hearts beat wildly. The nether dragon's attack had already arrived. They could only defend with all their strength. Bang! Bang! With a series of explosions, the experts of the three overlord forces were sent flying like cannonballs. Some of the weaker ones even spat out mouthfuls of blood. In this clash, the nether dragon had the complete advantage. Everyone else was stunned. They couldn't believe their eyes. Facing so many experts, the nether dragon still had the upper hand. They naturally didn't know that the nether dragon was an existence that surpassed godly kings. His physical body was unbelievably strong and his defense was shocking. Even if he didn't counterattack, a mere third-layer godly king couldn't break through his defense, not to mention the second and first-layer godly kings. If it weren't for the fact that the nether dragon's injuries were too severe and he didn't even have 1/10,000th of his original strength, killing the dean of the Mystic Academy and the others would be a piece of cake. This wasn't an exaggeration. If the nether dragon was at his peak, he could kill the dean of the Mystic Academy and the others with a single breath. In the godly king realm, the difference between each layer was huge. A fourth-layer godly king could crush a third-layer godly king, let alone those that surpassed godly kings. Die! The nether dragon roared and continued to attack the experts of the three overlord forces. This time, the nether dragon didn't attack the dean of the Mystic Academy and the invincible Kinzo's sacred leader. Although the nether dragon could suppress third-layer godly kings in his current state, it would be difficult for him to kill them. Therefore, the nether dragon attacked the first-layer godly kings. Chapter 29:19. The dragon claw grabbed a first-layer godly god layer expert. That first-layer godly god layer expert was a senior elder of the Mystic Academy. His expression changed drastically. His god chi surged, shooting out beams of god light. He wanted to break the nether dragon's attack and escape. However, with the nether dragon's current strength, dealing with a first-layer godly god layer expert was very easy. The dragon claw slashed down, and the first-layer godly god layer expert's attack instantly collapsed. The first sky of King God Realm Warrior was like a balloon being squeezed by the dragon claw, bursting into pieces. A godly king had fallen just like that. Kill the people of the Mystic Academy first. Lu Ming said coldly on the dragon's head. As expected, the nether dragon focused on killing the people of the Mystic Academy. Many people were astonished. They hadn't thought that the powerful nether dragon would actually listen to Lu Ming. Stop him! Stop him! The dean of the Mystic Academy shouted furiously. He and the other experts attacked unceasingly. However, the nether dragon didn't care about their attacks at all. He let the attacks land on his body, but he was completely fine. Slash. After a while, another senior elder of the Mystic Academy was grabbed by the dragon claw. With a ripping sound, the senior elder was torn into two halves. The Mystic Academy had lost another godly king. The godly kings of the three overlords and the other top forces were scared out of their wits. The first-layer godly god layer experts were even forced to retreat. The dean of the Hybrid Demon Academy let out an unresigned roar. His heart was bleeding. That was two godly kings. In the Qin Tian Star area, godly kings were the top forces. Even the three overlords didn't have many of them. Two of them had died consecutively. Retreat! Retreat! The dean of the Mystic Academy finally wanted to retreat. He roared furiously and led the other experts of the Mystic Academy to retreat quickly. They didn't dare to continue attacking the nether dragon. As for the invincible Kinzo, the immeasurable Holy Land, and the other top forces, they retreated even faster than the Mystic Academy. Kill! The nether dragon roared. He didn't want to let them go so easily. He twisted his body and attacked again. Go! The three overlords and the other top forces experts' expressions changed. They didn't dare to stay. They turned around and fled as far as they could. The others can leave, But you traitor must stay. Lu Ming's dragon's head. Following this, the Nether Dragon changed directions and charged towards the Supreme Beings and the Supreme Beings' families. Damn it! Go! Go! With a roar, Paragon Move unleashed a stream of god power and fled with the Paragon of the Cosmos. However, there were many people in the Supreme Clans. The others didn't have this kind of speed. The Nether Dragon turned and caught up to the Supreme Clans. Emperor of Emperor. Godly Emperor of. Traitor, you must pay the price. Be on your way. Lu Ming said coldly. The Nether Dragon's huge dragon claw swiped down. Bang! Bang! Large groups of Supreme family members exploded. Under the terrifying power of the Nether Dragon, they turned to ashes, their bodies and souls destroyed. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of Supreme Being clans had fallen. Jizun couldn't care less about the other members of the Jizun clan. He took Jizun, the most talented junior of the younger generation, and the other two god kings of the Jizun clan and fled frantically. Once a Supreme Being moves, you won't be able to escape. Lu Ming roared. The Bone Devil controlled the Nether Dragon to chase after the primes. The Nether Dragon's body was huge, hundreds of thousands of meters long. With a twist of its body, a terrifying power burst forth. Everywhere it passed, large amounts of Supreme family members were killed. The reason why Lu Ming was so decisive and merciless was to intimidate them. To intimidate those who wanted to betray Kongxian School. As expected, seeing this scene, many Kongxian School members turned pale. Cold sweat flowed down their backs. They secretly rejoiced that they hadn't surrendered before. If they had, they would have ended up like this. We can't let the traitors go. The traitors must be punished. Yu Wuya roared. That's right. We can't let the Supreme family members go. Disciples of Kongxian School, follow me and kill all the traitors. Another Doyen also roared. He soared into the air and charged toward the Supreme family members. Kill, 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 kill. Everyone in Kongxian School charged toward the Supreme family members. How could a single Supreme clan be a match for the entire Profound Sky sect? In just a short while, all of the Supreme clans were surrounded, and an iron-blooded slaughter began. No, spare me. Senior Brother Gu, we have such a good relationship. Please spare me. The Supreme family members kept begging for mercy. Traitors, don't try to be friends with me. I was blind in the past and mistook you for a friend. Go on your way. Kill. How could the Kongxian School members be merciful? In order to prove their loyalty and that they weren't on the same side as the Supreme family members, they were even more ruthless. Large groups of Supreme Being clans were being slaughtered. At this moment, the Nether Dragon carrying Lu Ming had almost caught up to Jizun Dong and the other two godly kings of the Supreme family. Dean, save me, save me. Jizun Dong roared, begging for help from the Mystic Academy's Dean. He knew that with his strength, he wasn't a match for the Nether Dragon. If he was caught, only death would await him. Only the Mystic Academy's Dean could save them. However, the Mystic Academy's Dean couldn't be bothered with him. He didn't even look at him as he quickly flew forward. What a joke. Why would he go save Jizun Dong and the others? He wanted nothing more than for Jizun Dong and the others to be caught. That way, he could buy some time for them to escape safely. Seeing the Mystic Academy's Dean ignore him, despair appeared on Jizun Dong's face. Shingamo, you shameless bastard. You'll die a horrible death. Jizun Dong roared furiously and cursed. Jizun Dong, you're courting death. The Mystic Academy's Dean's gaze turned cold. He turned around and slashed his devil sword at Jizun Dong. Jizun Dong was startled and unleashed a series of attacks to block. Although this was just a casual attack from the Mystic Academy's Dean, its power was still terrifying. Although Jizun Dong blocked it, he had no choice but to stop. As soon as he stopped, Lu Ming caught up to him. Jizun Dong died. The Nether Dragon's claw slashed at Jizun Dong. This attack was much stronger than the Mystic Academy's Dean's attack. Supreme God Fist. Jizun Dong roared crazily. His body was covered in a resplendent golden light as he continuously punched out with his fists. Huge golden fists shot towards the nether dragon's claw. However, Zundong was only at the second godly king layer. The nether dragon could even suppress a third godly king layer. How could a second godly king layer resist? Bang! Bang! Explosions rang out continuously. Zundong's fist collapsed. The dragon's claw didn't stop attacking Zundong. Chapter 29-20. The nether dragon's massive claw slammed into Sovereign Dong's body. Sovereign Dong cried out as he was sent flying thousands of kilometers away. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood, and half of his body had exploded. He looked as wretched as possible. Even Zundong, who was beside Zundong, was affected. The lower half of his body exploded. He floated in the air, terrified. When the other two godly kings of the Supreme Family saw this, their expressions changed drastically. Without thinking, they split into two different directions and flew away, leaving Zundong behind. Lu Ming, leave those two traitors to us. At this moment, two elders flew past Lu Ming and chased after the two godly kings of the Supreme Family. These two elders of the Kongxian school were extremely powerful elders. They had both reached the second heavenly layer of the godly king realm. The two godly kings of the Supreme Family were only at the first heavenly layer of the godly king realm. They couldn't escape from the second heavenly layer of the godly king realm. The nether dragon stopped and looked at Zundong and Zunkuan coldly. Zundong and Zunkuan both looked desperate. Lu Ming, I beg you, spare me. As long as you spare me, I'll be your slave in the future. I'll follow you wholeheartedly. Suddenly, Zunkuan cried out, begging Lu Ming for mercy. Zunkuan, what are you doing? If you want to die, then die. Why are you begging him for mercy? Even if the men of the Supreme Family die, they have to die with dignity. Shouted Zundong. Shut up. If you want to die, I don't want to accompany you. Shouted Zunkuan. His face was incomparably sinister. He was a heavenly genius. He had a bright future ahead of him. With his talent, breaking through to the godly king realm was a cinch. Once he reached the godly king realm, his lifespan would increase explosively. He could live for 5 eternal star years. With such a long lifespan, how much happiness could he enjoy? Why should he die? In order to survive, he was willing to give up his backbone. Immediately, Paragon of Heaven and Earth turned to Lu Ming. There was a fawning expression on his face as he said, Lu Ming, no, Holy Son Lu Ming, as long as you let me off, I'll do anything for you. I'll be loyal to you in the future. How shameless. I really misjudged him before. How could such a person become the first saint of our Kongxian school? Bah. Many of the Kongxian school's disciples looked at the Supreme Saint with disdain. Oh, it's not impossible for me to let you go. How about this? You go and kill him, and I'll let you go. Lu Ming pointed at Zun and said, Kill him? But he's a divine king realm powerhouse. I'm not his match at all. Autark Universe Sovereign said with an ugly expression, This is simple. Yulong. Lu Ming transmitted to Yulong kill. Yulong roared and pounced at Zun. At this moment, Zun was already heavily injured and could not escape. He could only barely resist, but Yulong's dragon claw slammed down and sent Zun flying. This time, Zun's injuries were even more serious. His body was in tatters, and even his divine flame was almost extinguished. His strength was not even a tenth of his original. Now, he doesn't have much strength left. Go and kill him. I promise you, as long as you kill him, I won't kill you. Lu Ming said, All right, I'll go and kill him. Autark Universe Sovereign clenched his teeth and charged at Zun. Autark Universe Sovereign, you dare? Zun roared, his eyes filled with disbelief. He never thought that Autark Universe Sovereign would really kill him. Zun, didn't you say that I am the future hope of the Zun family? That's why I can't die. Help me. As long as I'm alive, the Zun family will rise again in the future. Do you understand? Autark Universe Sovereign secretly transmitted to Zun. At the same time, his body lit up and he unleashed a sovereign divine fist at Zun. You disobedient son. Zun roared. He was extremely disappointed in Autark Universe Sovereign. Furthermore, he did not want to give up. He would rather die at the hands of Lu Ming than die at the hands of Autark Universe Sovereign. If he really died at the hands of Autark Universe Sovereign, the Jizun family would go down in history as a joke. So, Jizun resisted. He mustered his remaining strength and also punched. Boom. Jizun and Autark Universe Sovereign's attacks collided, releasing dazzling golden light. Then, the two of them rapidly retreated. You still want to resist? Die. Autark Universe Sovereign roared. In order to show his loyalty to Lu Ming, his eyes turned red and he madly attacked Jizun. However, Jizun was a cultivator of the second king god layer. Although he was severely injured, he was still very strong. He fought Autark Universe Sovereign, and it was hard to tell who would win. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than 100 moves. At this moment, the other two cultivators of the first king god layer of the Jizun family had been defeated by the two cultivators of the second king god layer of the Kongxian school. Their cultivations had been destroyed. A large number of Kongxian school's elders and disciples surrounded the area, watching the battle between Autark Universe Sovereign and Jizun from afar. On the other hand, the three overlords and some other top forces had already escaped. Lu Ming did not let Yulong chase after them. With Yulong's current state, he could suppress the Mystic Academy's dean and the others. However, it was impossible for him to kill them. Yulong's current state was that with his strong physical body, his defense was shocking. He could protect himself, but his attack power was not enough. Therefore, he could only let them escape. Die, old man. Why are you still resisting? Die. Autark Universe Sovereign had gone crazy. He kept attacking Jizun. At this moment, the two of them were already injured. Lu Ming, kill me. Just kill me. Jizun roared. He wanted to die at Lu Ming's hands. I have a dog of the Jizun family following my orders. Why should I do it myself? Lu Ming sneered. When Autark Universe Sovereign heard this, he was furious. However, he did not dare to show it. He was afraid that Lu Ming would be dissatisfied. He had no choice but to vent all his anger on Jizun Dong. Sigh, forget it. Jizun sighed. He did not want to resist anymore. If he continued, he would only become a joke. Suddenly, Jizun retracted all his divine power and stopped resisting. Bang! Autark Universe Sovereign punched Jizun's head, causing it to explode. Jizun had died. A god king of a generation had died at the hands of the junior he had favored the most. It was truly a great tragedy. Ha ha ha, old man, you're finally dead. Ha ha ha. Autark Universe Sovereign laughed crazily. After a long while, he stopped and then looked at Lu Ming with a flattering smile. Holy Son Lu Ming, look, I've already killed Jizun. Chapter 29-21. That's right. Lu Ming nodded, then said mockingly, Supreme Universe Supremacy, you're worse than a dog. You killed your own elder to save your own life. Creak. Supreme Universe Supremacy clenched his fists, feeling greatly humiliated. He lowered his head, his eyes full of murderous intent. Lu Ming, I'll compromise first. As long as I can save my own life, one day, I'll make you pay 10 times, no, 100 times, 1,000 times. I'll kill your family one by one in front of you. I'll cripple your cultivation and let you live like a dead dog in pain. Supreme Universe Supremacy roared in his heart, hating Lu Ming to the core. However, when he raised his head, the murderous intent and hatred in his eyes disappeared, leaving only a smile. Lu Ming the Bachelor Sage is right. However, Supreme Universe Supremacy is too stubborn. He even dared to offend a prodigy like the Bachelor Sage Lu Ming. He deserves to die. Supreme Universe Supremacy smiled apologetically. Shameless. Oh my God. He's really shameless. He's too shameless. Bachelor Sage Lu Ming said that Supreme Universe Supremacy is worse than a dog. I used to respect him so much. How disgusting. Many disciples of Kongxian school saw this scene and scolded and mocked. Now, they were not afraid of Supreme Universe Supremacy. Supreme Universe Supremacy was filled with murderous intent, but he still had a smile on his face. Bachelor Sage Lu Ming, can I follow you from now on? Follow me? I only promised not to kill you. I didn't say that I wanted you to follow me. Lu Ming said calmly. Yes, yes, yes. I don't deserve to follow Bachelor Sage Lu Ming. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Supreme Universe Supremacy nodded repeatedly. He was even happier that Lu Ming didn't want him to follow him. Leave? Traitor, you still want to leave? Lu Ming's voice turned cold. Supreme Universe's figure stiffened, and his expression turned ugly. Saint Lu Ming, what do you mean by this? You said that as long as I kill Supreme Universe, you will not kill me and let me off. That's right. I did promise not to kill you, but that's only on behalf of myself. I can't represent all the elders and disciples of Kongxian School. You betrayed the Kongxian School, so naturally, you will be punished by the Kongxian School. Lu Ming said indifferently. You Lu Ming, you're despicable. You're shameless. You don't keep your word. Audark Universe Sovereign roared. He knew that he had been tricked by Lu Ming. When did I go back on my words? I said that I wouldn't kill you, so I won't kill you. However, I'm just the holy son of the Kongxian School. I don't have the authority to represent the founding members of the Kongxian School. Fellow founding members, what do you think should be the punishment for betraying the sect? Lu Ming looked at the founding members of the Kongxian School. Those who betray the sect should be executed. Yu Wuya said coldly. All right, then I'll leave Autark Universe Sovereign to you. Lu Ming said. Ah, Lu Ming, you're despicable. Autark Universe Sovereign roared hysterically. How could he not know that from the start? Lu Ming had no intention of letting him go. Even that powerful nether dragon listened to Lu Ming's orders. If Lu Ming said something, who in the Kongxian School would dare to go against him? However, Lu Ming said that he couldn't represent the founding members of the Kongxian School. Traitor, die. Yu Wuya stepped forward. With a wave of his hand, a ray of moonlight slashed at Autark Universe Sovereign. Although Yu Wuya had suffered some damage, it was still far from something that Autark Universe Sovereign could block. Lu Ming, I curse you. Autark Universe Sovereign roared. But before he could finish, he was struck by Yu Wuya. His body was torn apart, and his soul was extinguished. He died on the spot. Now, the Autark family was practically completely destroyed. After dealing with the Autark family, the people of the Kongxian School looked at Lu Ming, especially when they looked at the nether dragon beneath his feet. They were filled with reverence. The founding members of the Kongxian School flew over to Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I wonder who this is? Yu Wuya looked at the nether dragon. He was naturally asking about the nether dragon. This is a friend of mine. Lu Ming smiled. A friend. Everyone's eyes narrowed. In their eyes, Lu Ming had become even more unfathomable. Such a powerful existence was actually Lu Ming's friend. Clang, clang. At this moment, the sound of a bell rang out from within the Kongxian School. That's a death knell. What's going on? Many people's expressions changed. The death knell wouldn't be rung under normal circumstances. It would only be rung when a major figure of the Kongxian School had fallen. This time, a major figure of the Kongxian School had indeed fallen. That was Autark Universe Sovereign, but Autark Universe Sovereign was a traitor. Naturally, the death knell wouldn't be rung because of him. The school master has fallen. The school master has fallen. At this moment, a white-haired old man flew out and cried out sorrowfully. What? The school master has fallen. Many people were shocked. Founding Elder Shang, what's going on? How did the school master suddenly fall? The founding members all flew over to the old man and asked. I don't know either. When I saw that the situation was settled, I returned to the Life Palace and saw that the school master's life tablet had shattered. Founding Elder Shang said. Many of the major figures of the Kongxian School had life tablets stored in their life palaces. Once the life tablet shattered, it meant that they had fallen. What? How could this be? What's going on? No wonder the school master didn't appear before. Immediately, everyone in the Kongxian School discussed and made all kinds of guesses. However, no one knew the result. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't tell them how Dragon Boat Mountain had fallen. The matter of the schoolmaster's death is to be kept a secret for now. No one is to leak it. In the end, the founding members gave the order. However, they also knew that such a big matter couldn't be kept a secret for long. It was only a matter of time before it was leaked. They secretly rejoiced that there was an expert like Yulong in the Kongxian school. Otherwise, once the news of Dragon Boat Mountain's death was leaked, the Kongxian school would probably be in danger. Not to mention the three overlord forces, even some of the top forces wouldn't be afraid of them. Next, the founding members of the Kongxian school started to discuss what to do next. Lu Ming suggested that the founding members assist Ouyang Qingxiang to temporarily take charge of the Kongxian school. When Ouyang Qingxiang became the divine king, she would officially take over the Kongxian school. Ouyang Qingxiang was a Zhengzi, and with Lu Ming's suggestion, the founding members naturally agreed. Lu Ming's words now carried a lot of weight. Once he spoke, the founding members of the Kongxian school had to think twice. Just like that, the founding members assisted Ouyang Qingxiang in managing the Kongxian school, and the Kongxian school was on the right track. The Nether Dragon's secret realm. Lu Ming, this Yulong is too heavily injured. I can still use this Yulong's body for now. I'll stay in the Yulong's body and heal in the Yulong's secret realm. You'll have to rely on yourself for everything else. The Bone Demon's voice sounded. Chapter 29-22. All right, just focus on recuperating. Don't worry about me. Lu Ming nodded. He was still looking forward to it. This Nether Dragon was originally an existence that surpassed the Godly King realm. Once it recovered, it would be extremely terrifying. Of course, the Nether Dragon's soul had already been destroyed. The Bone Demon was only temporarily borrowing its body. It was impossible for it to recover to its peak. But even if it couldn't recover to its peak, as long as it recovered to the peak of the Godly King realm, Lu Ming could do whatever he wanted. Then I'll be leaving, the Bone Demon said as he controlled the Nether Dragon. With a twist of its body, it flew into the depths of the Nether Dragon's secret realm and disappeared. As for Lu Ming, he left the Nether Dragon's secret realm. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived at a mountain peak. This mountain peak was an independent peak of the Kongxian school. The divine aura was extremely dense, and the cultivation environment was extremely good. Even in the entire Kongxian school, it could be ranked at the top. But now, it belonged to Lu Ming alone. After setting up a simple array around the mountain peak, Lu Ming came to a large hall at the center of the mountain peak and sat down cross-legged. Then, a storage ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Looking at the storage ring, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with intense anticipation. Because this storage ring belonged to the Dragon Mountain. What kind of treasure would the storage ring of a sect master contain? Lu Ming didn't know about other things, but Lu Ming knew that the stellar core was definitely in this storage ring. There really is a restriction. Lu Ming scanned the storage ring with his spiritual sense and found that there was indeed a restriction on it. However, this was the storage ring of the Dragon Mountain. He couldn't ask the Kongxian school's Godly King for help. He could only break the restriction himself. With a thought, the 6 divine fires in his dantian burned fiercely. With the Sovereign's God Force as the lead, the 6 types of God Force mixed together and surged towards the restriction on the storage ring. Lu Ming wanted to slowly erase the restriction on it. Even with the mysteries of the Sovereign's God Force, Lu Ming still took 3 months to erase the restrictions on the storage ring. As soon as the restriction was obliterated, Lu Ming's spiritual sense entered the ring and impatiently scanned it. The first thing he saw was a jade box in the spatial ring. Even though they were separated by the jade box, they could still feel the surging energy emanating from it. Star core. Lu Ming concluded that what was inside this jade box was definitely a star core. Lu Ming's palm glowed as the jade box appeared in his hand. So heavy. Lu Ming's expression changed. He almost couldn't hold the jade box. The weight of the jade box was shocking. Kid, with your current cultivation, you won't be able to absorb this stellar core. In the sea of consciousness, the voice of the quantifying character formula sounded. Then what cultivation level do I have to be able to absorb it? Lu Ming asked. This stellar core was refined by someone with a great ability. Its energy is strong and powerful. At the very least, you need to be in the Divine King realm to be able to absorb it. Otherwise, your soul and body will be burned to ashes. The quantifying character formula said, only a divine king realm can absorb it? God knows how long that will take. Lu Ming looked depressed. Originally, he thought that after obtaining the stellar core, he could rely on it to advance by leaps and bounds. It seemed that he had thought too much. Hee, kid, don't be depressed. Have you forgotten that there is still this old lady here? The quantifying character formula's proud voice sounded. You? You can absorb and refine this stellar core? Lu Ming's tone was full of doubt. Back then, the quantifying character formula needed a long time to refine a piece of nether dragon blood jade and the energy of the ancient god flower. The energy of the stellar core was many times stronger than the nether dragon blood jade and the ancient god flower. How could the quantifying character formula refine it? Lu Ming seriously doubted. Kid, what kind of tone is that? Are you doubting this old lady's ability? I'm so angry. The quantifying character formula roared. I'm not doubting your ability. It's just that you needed such a long time to refine the energy of the nether dragon blood jade and the ancient god flower. Then, wouldn't it take tens of thousands of years to refine this stellar core? Lu Ming muttered. Nonsense, kid. What do you know? This old lady is now residing in your body and is living with you. This old lady's ability is also determined by your cultivation. If your cultivation is weak, this old lady's ability will be weak. The higher your cultivation, this old lady's ability will be stronger. In the past, this old lady's refining ability was weak because you were a good-for-nothing. Do you understand now? The quantifying character formula screamed. Lu Ming's face was full of cold sweat. However, he finally understood that the quantifying character formula's energy was closely related to his strength. This made sense. Otherwise, the quantifying character formula was one of the origin ancient characters. Just its previous refining speed was too slow. Kid, now that your cultivation has reached the heavenly god realm, this old lady's refining ability has also been greatly improved. I can barely refine this stellar core. However, I can only refine it slowly. It will take a long time to completely refine it. However, even if I can only refine it bit by bit, when I transfer the refined energy to you, it will greatly increase your cultivation speed. Kid, your cultivation method is special. You need to cultivate many different kinds of divine power and divine fire. Especially when you reach the divine king realm, you will condense more stellar cores than others. At that time, every time you break through, the energy you need will be many times more than others. Your cultivation speed will also be many times slower. However, with this stellar core, your cultivation speed will not be slow. The quantifying character formula went on for a long time. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Indeed, he cultivated the universe myriad Dao technique and cultivated many different kinds of divine power. The energy he needed to break through was much more than others. In this way, his cultivation speed was bound to be very slow. Therefore, during this period, he did not dare to cultivate other divine techniques. He was afraid that it would affect his cultivation speed. However, with this stellar core, no matter how many divine techniques he cultivated, no matter how much divine power he cultivated, he was not afraid. Old Liang, can you swallow this stellar core directly? Lu Ming asked. Of course. The quantifying character formula said. Then, Lu Ming's glabella glowed and a quantifying character flew out from his glabella. Lu Ming, open the jade box. The quantifying character formula said. Lu Ming immediately circulated his divine power and condensed two large hands. He grabbed the jade box and opened the lid of the jade box. As soon as the lid of the jade box was opened, Lu Ming saw a crystal the size of a human head in the jade box. It was dazzling like a small sun and emitted a terrifying energy fluctuation. In an instant, there was a terrifying energy that was about to soar into the sky. Fortunately, the quantifying character formula rapidly expanded and enveloped the stellar core. The next moment, the energy fluctuation disappeared along with the stellar core to avoid alerting others. After the quantifying character formula swallowed the stellar core, it flew into Lu Ming's glabella and settled down in his sea of consciousness. Lu Ming knew that it would take time for the quantifying character formula to refine the stellar core. He just needed to wait patiently for the harvest. Chapter 29-23. After dealing with the stellar core, Lu Ming began to organize the other items in the Dragon Mountain's interspatial ring. Even though he was mentally prepared, Lu Ming was still shocked. There were too many treasures in the interspatial ring. Low-grade divine crystals and mid-grade divine crystals were piled up like a mountain. It was hard to tell how many pieces there were, but it was enough for Lu Ming to use for a long time. There were also divine pellets with different functions, but all of them were of excellent quality. In addition, all kinds of crafting materials and metallic materials were also piled up like mountains. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. When Qiuqiu woke up, he wouldn't have to worry about food for a long time. In addition, there were all sorts of divine artifacts of various grades. Lu Ming's thoughts flickered and a scarlet spear appeared in his hand. Buzz! Lu Ming circulated his god force and brandished the spear. A terrifying rumble resounded in the air. Good spear. Lu Ming smiled. This was a high-grade 9th-grade divine artifact, most suitable for Lu Ming's current use. Lu Ming immediately refined this divine artifact. After refining it, the spear flew into Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. It would be very convenient for him to use it in the future. Other than that, the Dragon Mountain had also collected a lot of secret manuals of divine skills, cultivation methods, and secret techniques. Lu Ming went through the interspatial ring. What made Lu Ming the happiest was that there were 2 sets of Saint-grade divine arts. These 2 divine arts were not the ones collected by the Kongxian school. Lu Ming had never seen them before. Clearly, they were the Dragon Mountain's private collection. Ha ha ha. Lu Ming laughed heartily. Now that he had the stellar core, he wanted to cultivate a few more types of god force. Now, there were divine arts delivered to his doorstep. As long as he could cultivate these 2 divine arts, his divine power would become even more vigorous. After putting away the 2 Saint-grade divine arts, Lu Ming took out some interspatial rings. These interspatial rings were obtained by Lu Ming after killing the Mystic Academies and Invincible Kinzo's prodigies. Lu Ming organized these interspatial rings. What made Lu Ming ecstatic was that he had obtained another 2 sets of divine techniques. One of them was from the Mystic Academy's 4-eyed hollow court, called the multi-eye divine art. When cultivated to the peak, one could cultivate the multi-eye divine art. The 4-eyed hollow court's divine art was this kind of divine art. Lu Ming was most excited about the other one. It was from the Invincible Kinzo's prodigy, Zhuo Budong. It was called the Invincible Sword Art. This divine art was the Invincible Kinzo's signature art. However, there were very few who could cultivate it to the peak, because once cultivated to the peak, one would be able to cultivate the Invincible Sword Art, a divine-grade divine art. For example, the Invincible Kinzo's prodigy, Sword Dao Wuji, had cultivated this divine art to the peak and cultivated the Invincible Sword Art to the peak. He had cultivated the Invincible Kinzo's divine art to the peak and cultivated the Invincible Sword Art to the peak. As for Zhuo Budong, he had only cultivated the Saint-grade divine art. He was far from cultivating the divine-grade divine art. Lu Ming's heart thumped wildly. He had the Universe Myriad Dao technique, so he did not need to cultivate it to the peak. He only needed to cultivate a strand of divine art. Immediately, Lu Ming decided that he would spend the rest of his time practicing these 4 divine skills. As for those king-grade divine skills, Lu Ming was not interested in them at all. This was because it was very difficult for a king-grade divine art to condense a star nucleus. When Lu Ming stepped into the divine king realm, the king-grade divine art would not be of much use. Lu Ming planned to find an opportunity in the future to integrate the 3 types of king-grade divine power in his body into the sacred-grade divine power or divine-grade divine power that had similar attributes. Let's start with the divine-grade martial art, indestructible sword art. Lu Ming thought, then took out the invincible sword art and studied it carefully. The difficulty of cultivating a divine-grade divine technique was naturally incomparable to that of a sacred-grade divine technique. Lu Ming spent a full year before he succeeded in cultivating the first level. After cultivating the first level, Lu Ming condensed a strand of invincible sword force. For Lu Ming, this was enough. After cultivating the first level, Lu Ming put down the invincible sword art and began to comprehend the other Saint-grade divine art, the many-eyed divine art. In this way, Lu Ming spent a few years to cultivate all 4 divine arts to the first level and cultivate a strand of divine art. Cultivating to this point was just the beginning. Then, Lu Ming wholeheartedly operated the Universe Myriad Dao technique to strengthen these 4 types of divine arts. It would take a long time to cultivate these 4 types of divine arts to the same level as the other divine arts. Then, Lu Ming fell into a deep level of seclusion. After the previous turmoil in the Qin Tian star field, it also fell into peace. Time passed quickly. 200 years had passed. 200 years was just a blink of an eye for the Qin Tian star field. But for Lu Ming, it was a great harvest. After 200 years, Lu Ming finally cultivated 3 of the Saint Grade divine arts to the same level as the other divine arts. Only the invincible sword force was harder to cultivate because it was a divine grade divine art. It had not reached the same level as the other divine arts, but the difference was not too big. In a few more decades, he should be able to catch up. As such, Lu Ming had a total of 10 divine arts in his dantian. They were extremely bright like 10 stars in the sky. Among them, there were 2 divine grade divine arts, 5 saint grade divine arts, and 3 king grade divine arts. Now, although Lu Ming's cultivation was still in the first level of the heavenly god realm, compared to 200 years ago, Lu Ming's divine arts were much stronger. His battle prowess had also increased by a notch. Moreover, in these 200 years, he did not just cultivate the Universe Myriad Dao technique. He took time to comprehend the mystical dragon aspect technique, various divine skills, and the battle character technique. He had made significant improvements in all aspects. In terms of divine skills, Lu Ming had successfully cultivated the 3rd move of the apocalyptic 3 strikes, Star Explosion. This move was called Star Explosion. It was easy to imagine how powerful it was. In addition, the 9 Heavens Kuan Pong art and 9 layers of Crimson Gold armor had both reached the 7th layer. The 9 Heavens Kuan Pong art had reached the 7th layer, which was the peak. However, the 9 Heavens Kuan Pong art was an incomplete speed-type divine skill. There must be other higher layers. Lu Ming planned to spend some time looking for them. As for the battle character technique, Lu Ming had finally reached the peak of multiplying his battle prowess by 4 times, achieving a success rate of 100%. Lu Ming had already started to comprehend the 5 times battle prowess. However, it was too difficult. After many years of cultivation, Lu Ming was still clueless. In short, after 200 years, although Lu Ming's cultivation had not improved, his battle prowess had improved significantly. If Lu Ming were to face the god son of the Mystic Academy, Lu Ming was confident that he could defeat his opponent. Meanwhile, outside the mountain, a slender figure arrived. Autumn Moon. Lu Ming rose with a smile and went up to her. He held Autumn Moon's hand and observed Autumn Moon carefully. His eyes flickered as he exclaimed in surprise, "Autumn Moon, you've broken through to the heaven god realm." Chapter 29-24. Yes, I just made a breakthrough a while ago. Autumn Moon nodded with joy on her face. She had finally caught up with Lu Ming. Lu Ming was amazed. Ever since Autumn Moon had awakened her 9 apertures sacred heart, her cultivation speed was amazing. Even without any fortuitous encounters, her cultivation speed was still very fast. 200 years ago, Lu Ming's words carried more weight in the Kongxian school. Almost no one would go against his words. Therefore, Autumn Moon could enter and leave the Kongxian school as she pleased. In addition, Lu Ming had given her a large number of resources to help her. Thus, Autumn Moon's cultivation was improving at an amazing speed. Now, Autumn Moon had broken through the heavenly god realm and reached level 1 heavenly god realm. She was on par with Lu Ming. Moreover, Autumn Moon had also cultivated the Universe Myriad Dao technique to the highest level. She had successfully cultivated the sovereign divine power. Her combat strength was also very strong. If she were in the major sects, she would be a divine son. Of course, no one knew about this. Qiuyu, take these divine arts and profound techniques and cultivate them. Lu Ming gave Qiuyu the indestructible sword technique, multi-eye divine technique, ultimate cold divine technique, and other divine techniques. With Autumn Moon's talent, it was only a matter of time before she could cultivate many divine powers. Moreover, with Autumn Moon's 9 apertures sacred heart, Her cultivation speed would not be slow even if she could control many divine powers. If it were others, even if they had the universe myriad Dao technique and cultivated many divine powers, their cultivation speed would be as slow as a snail. However, Lu Ming had the quantifying character formula and Autumn Moon had the 9 apertures sacred heart. They did not have to worry about this. So many. Autumn Moon was shocked when she saw so many divine skills and divine skills. Of course, don't you know who your young master is? These divine skills and divine skills are nothing. I will give you more in the future. Lu Ming began to boast. I knew it from Autumn Moon that young master is the best. Autumn Moon blinked her big eyes and kissed Lu Ming on the lips. Then, she immediately retracted her hand. However, Lu Ming reached out and held Autumn Moon's slender waist, pulling Autumn Moon into his arms. Now that you know how powerful the young master is, I'll make it up to him today. Lu Ming smirked. Young master is up to no good again. Autumn Moon giggled. Then I'll show you how bad I am. Lu Ming laughed and carried Autumn Moon into a room. Soon, a seductive voice came from the room. In the days that followed, under Lu Ming's guidance, Autumn Moon practiced all kinds of divine arts and techniques. Her progress was astonishing, and even Lu Ming felt inferior. In the blink of an eye, another 3 years had passed. On this day, the Senate of Kongxian School suddenly sent a message to Lu Ming, saying that there was an important matter. Lu Ming rushed to the meeting hall and found Ouyang Qingxiang and the other saints there. When Fuko Seiko and the others saw Lu Ming, their faces turned pale, and their faces were full of respect. Greetings, Saint Lu Ming. Fuko Seiko and the others greeted Lu Ming politely. Now, if Lu Ming said one, they would definitely not dare to say two. Lu Ming nodded casually and swept his gaze across the hall. In addition to the saints and saintesses, the Senate of Kongxian School and many intersect elders were almost all present. Lu Ming, Saint Lu Ming. These Senate and intersect elders also greeted Lu Ming. Everyone, why are you all gathered here today? Lu Ming asked. Lu Ming, we received news not long ago that the emissary of the Taishu dynasty is coming to Kongxian School. Ouyang Qingxiang said. The Taishu dynasty. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly shone brightly. Lu Ming had known for a long time that the Taishu sacred court was a universe-level force. It ruled over a vast territory and countless star zones. Qin Tian Starfield was a remote starfield under the rule of the Taishu dynasty. Because of Jing Yu's matter, Lu Ming would sooner or later visit the Taishu dynasty. He did not expect that the Taishu dynasty would suddenly send an emissary to Kongxian School. Why did the emissary of the Taishu dynasty suddenly come to Kongxian School? Lu Ming asked. His mind was racing. Could it be that the emissary of the Taishu dynasty knew about his relationship with Jing Yu and came because of him? That was impossible. He did not reveal anything about Jing Yu. The emissary of the Taishu dynasty should not know about it. Then what was the reason? We don't know. In the vast Taishu dynasty, Qin Tian Starfield is a remote place. The Taishu dynasty has always been indifferent and rarely sent an emissary. This time, they suddenly sent an emissary. I don't know why. Ouyang Qingxiang also frowned. The others also looked dignified. They did not know whether the arrival of the emissary of the Taishu dynasty was a blessing or a curse. Although Kongxian School dominated Qin Tian Starfield, compared to the Taishu dynasty, they were like ants. The difference between an ant and a divine dragon was like the difference between an ant and a divine dragon. Any cultivator from the Taishu sacred dynasty could destroy the Kongxian sect. Therefore, they could not help but feel nervous. It's not the emissary of the Taishu dynasty, but the residents of the Nine Extinction Heavenly Lord. At this moment, Yu Wuya said, residents of the Nine Extinction Heavenly Lord? Some people, including Lu Ming, were puzzled. You might not be clear about the division of power in the Taishu dynasty. Let me explain it to you. Yu Wuya said. He sorted out his thoughts and continued. The Taishu dynasty used a system of enfeoffment. In addition to the Taishu dynasty's emissary occupying a large area of the core and the best territory, they also enfeoffed 27 heavenly lords. These 27 heavenly lords were the top experts of the Taishu dynasty. They were also people who had contributed greatly to the Taishu dynasty. The 27 heavenly lords established 27 heavenly lords' residences and ruled over a territory. It was like a country within a country. Their strength was also very shocking. And our Chintian starfield is under the rule of the residents of the 9 extinction heavenly lord. Yu Wuya explained. I see. Lu Ming nodded. He had a rough understanding of the division of power in the Taishu dynasty. The 27 heavenly lords were the vassals of the Taishu dynasty. However, the people's faces did not relax. To them, whether it was the Taishu dynasty's emissary or the residents of the 9 extinction heavenly lord, they were both giants that they could not fight against. There was no difference. The emissary from the residents of the 9 extinction heavenly lord is almost here. Let's go out and welcome him, Yu Wuya said. Immediately, the higher-ups of the Kongshin school all flew out into outer space. They stood in space and waited quietly. Roar, roar. About half an hour later, a series of dragon roars could be heard from afar. Then, the crowd saw 9 huge divine dragons pulling a chariot towards them at high speed. The 9 divine dragons were crimson red and were 10,000 meters long. Their auras were extremely shocking. Each of them gave off a terrifying pressure. They're using peak heavenly god divine dragons to pull the chariot. What a big deal! An elder exclaimed. Chapter 29-25. Using 9 divine dragons at the peak of the heavenly god realm to pull the chariot was indeed shocking. Everyone knew that the emissary from the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion had arrived. Roar, roar. The 9 dragons pulled the chariot at an astonishing speed. It soon arrived in front of Lu Ming and the rest and stopped in the starry sky. Everyone saw that there were more than 10 figures on the chariot. Among them, there were 4 middle-aged burly men. They were burly and exuded a terrifying aura. Supreme being, they were definitely supreme beings. Moreover, they were definitely elites among the supreme beings. The other 6 people were all young people. There were both men and women, and all of them had arrogant looks on their faces, as if they were high and mighty. Kongshin School Zhengzi, Ouyang Qingxiang, leads the entire Kongshin School to welcome the emissary from the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion. Ouyang Qingxiang stepped forward and cupped her fists. Welcome the emissary from the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion. The rest of the people from the Kongshin School also cupped their fists and bowed respectfully. Of course, Lu Ming was an exception. He just cupped his fists casually and looked at the people from the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion curiously. Zhongzi, where's your sect leader? Why isn't he here to welcome us? A young man with 3 red scales between his eyebrows flew down from the chariot and said coldly. However, when his eyes fell on Ouyang Qingxiang, there was a flash of surprise in his eyes. To be honest, my sect leader has fallen a few hundred years ago. I'm the temporary successor of my sect leader, Ouyang Qingxiang replied. Oh. The young man with the scales between his eyebrows said softly and did not comment further. May I ask why you've suddenly come to my Kongshin school? Ouyang Qingxiang nervously asked this question. I was just about to tell you that the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion's treasure, the 9 extinction divine crystal, has been stolen. The young man with the scales between his eyebrows said. Ouyang Qingxiang and the rest looked at each other. What did the theft of the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion's treasure have to do with them? After investigation, the one who stole the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion's treasure, the 9 extinction divine crystal, is from Chintian Starfield. The young man with the scales between his eyebrows suddenly said coldly. What? Ouyang Qingxiang, Yu Wuya, and the others' faces changed drastically. The person who stole the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion's treasure was actually someone from Chintian Starfield. Could it be that the experts of the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion suspected that it was done by their Kongshin school? When they thought of this, the grand elders and inner court elders of the Kongshin sect broke out in a cold sweat. Esteemed emissaries, are you suspecting that it was done by people from my Kongshin school? That's impossible. With the number of experts in the 9 extinction heavenly king palace, how could someone from my Kongshin school enter and steal the treasure? Yu Wuya hurriedly said. What you're saying is that the 9 extinction heavenly king mansion's defense is failing? The young man with the scale on his forehead said with a solemn expression, "No, that's not what I meant. Lord Envoy has misunderstood. Misunderstood." Yu Wuya bowed repeatedly, cold sweat dripping down his face. He was a second sky of King God Realm warrior, but he had to bow and bend his knees in front of a junior. The other party's background was too big. "Humph, it's best that you didn't." The young man with the scale on his forehead snorted and said, "This time, every force in the Qin star field is a suspect. We will investigate all of them, no exceptions." "How do you want to investigate?" Ouyang Qingxiang asked. "It's simple. Gather everyone from the Kongxian school and take out your storage rings for us to check. Also, open your Sea of Consciousness and Dantian. We will also check your Sea of Consciousness and Dantian to prevent you from storing the treasure in your Sea of Consciousness and Dantian." The young man with the scale on his forehead said, "What? You want to check our storage rings? In our Sea of Consciousness and Dantian?" Many people exclaimed, their faces pale. If that was the case, they would have no more secrets to hide. Storage rings, Sea of Consciousness and Dantian were the biggest secrets of a cultivator. It was impossible to let others see them, who didn't have a secret. However, the other party wanted to check everyone's storage rings, Sea of Consciousness and Dantian in the Kongxian school. How overbearing. "What? Do you have a problem with that?" The young man with the scale on his forehead asked coldly as his face darkened. The others stepped down from the war chariot and looked at Lu Ming and the others with unfriendly eyes. "It would be strange if we don't have any objections," everyone shouted in their hearts. "Dear emissaries, we really didn't steal the treasure of the 9 extinction Heavenly King Mansion. We wouldn't dare to do so even if we were given 100 guts. Yes, and our cultivation is low. We can't steal the treasure of the 9 extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Dear emissaries, please understand." The few elders of the Kongxian school spoke, one after another. "Nonsense, I don't care. My mission here is to find the 9 extinction divine crystal. Don't talk nonsense with me. Do as I say immediately." The young man with the scale on his forehead shouted coldly as if he was scolding a group of slaves. He was direct and overbearing, showing no mercy. Yu Wuya and some other Divine King experts looked pale. The other party was just a young man, and they could see that he was only a level 6 heavenly god. If he dared to talk to them like that elsewhere, he would have been slapped to death. However, the other party was an emissary of the 9 extinction Heavenly King Mansion, accompanied by a terrifying expert. They did not dare to do so. That being said, they were not willing to take out their storage rings and open their divine sense Dantian for the other party to inspect. For a moment, the atmosphere at the scene was somewhat heavy. "What's wrong? You're still not willing? Does your Kongxian school want to be wiped out?" The young man with the scale on his forehead snapped furiously. "How bold of you!" A voice could be heard. Lu Ming could not stand it any longer and stepped forward. Right from the start, the other party had been acting all high and mighty, looking down on them. It was as if Lu Ming and the rest had to do whatever he said. This really made Lu Ming unhappy. As soon as Lu Ming stepped forward, the young man with the scale on his forehead fixed his gaze on Lu Ming with an icy flicker. "Kid, what did you say?" The young man with the scale on his forehead snapped coldly. "Can't you hear what I said? Is there something wrong with your ears?" Lu Ming said coldly. Once his temper flared up, he would not care who the other party was. "You want us to give you our storage rings, Divine Sense Dantian, and Divine Sense Dantian as soon as you arrive. Why? Just because you said so? Then, let me check your Divine Sense Dantian first." Lu Ming continued. "Kid, you want to check my Divine Sense Dantian? Who do you think you are? You're just a lowly ant. How can you be compared to me? You'll do whatever I tell you to do. Do you understand? Trash." The young man with the scale on his forehead bellowed, looking as if he had Lu Ming under his control. "Hee hee, you're talking as if you're very noble. In my opinion, we're all the same. There's no difference between high and low. If you want to investigate us, why can't we investigate you?" Lu Ming sneered. "Kid, you're bringing trouble to your Kongxian school. Do you understand?" The young man with the scale on his forehead threatened as his face turned colder. Chapter 29-26. You don't have to threaten me. Justice is in our hearts. Let me tell you, I, Kongshin School, did not steal the treasures of Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. It's impossible for you to search our Dantian and Sea of Consciousness. All cultivators know that the Dantian and Sea of Consciousness are the most important secrets. If you want to search our Dantian and Sea of Consciousness, you might as well kill us. Lu Ming said loudly. His Dantian and Sea of Consciousness contained a lot of secrets. The universe myriad Tao scripture could cultivate many kinds of divine powers. There was also the battle formula and measure formula. If any of them were exposed, he would die a horrible death. How could he let them search his Dantian? If you really have doubts, we can swear on our life origin to confirm that we did not steal the treasures of Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. In the end, Lu Ming gave in. After all, he had to think for the Kongshin School. Swear on your life origin? Hee, I don't trust you. The treasures of Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion are precious. You can sacrifice a few of your lives for it. It's totally worth it. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said coldly. Swearing on their life origin, if they broke the oath, it would not be triggered immediately. Instead, they might die from Qigong deviation later on in their cultivation. The other party's meaning was obvious. Even if someone from Kongshin School really stole the treasures of Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, they could swear on their life origin. At that time, those who stole the treasures would die because of the oath. However, it was worth it for the treasures of Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Yu Wuya and the others looked pale. It was obvious that the other party wanted to search their Dantian and Sea of Consciousness. If that's the case, there's nothing more to say. Please go back. It's impossible for you to search our Dantian and Sea of Consciousness. Lu Ming's face turned cold. He had already made a concession, but the other party was still pressing on. He was too lazy to talk nonsense. Hee, great. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. After all, I can still check your Dantian and Sea of Consciousness after killing you. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows laughed sinisterly. Boom, 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 boom. At this moment, the four burly men to release their life origin. The vast pressure covered the entire Kongshin star. What's going on? What a terrifying aura. A terrifying expert has arrived. Danger. The Kongshin School was in a state of chaos. Many people felt the aura and were horrified. Some people were even in the middle of cultivation. Their bodies shook violently and they vomited blood when the aura pressed down on them. Third King God Layer. All of them are at the Third King God Layer. Yu Wuya couldn't help but cry out in shock. The other eminent elders of the God King realm shuddered as their faces changed drastically. The four of them were intimidating experts of the Third King God realm. In the Qintian star area, they were the Dean of the Mystic Academy and the Patriarch of the Invincible Kinzo. They were absolutely overlords. However, four of them had come at the same time. Lu Ming's expression changed too. The Nine-Ju Heavenly King Palace was indeed intimidating. They could casually send out a third sky of King God Realm warrior. Moreover, he didn't seem to have a high status. Seems like I can only ask the Bone Devil to come here. Lu Ming's mind was racing. Facing this situation, he could only ask the Bone Devil to take action and beat them back. Then, he would take the Kongshin School to a place to hide. Except for this method, there was no other way. Haha, a bunch of country bumpkins. You haven't seen the world yet. A few third sky of King God Realm warriors can scare you like this. Seeing Lu Ming and the others change their expressions, the young man with the scale between his eyebrows felt happy. He couldn't help but mock them. Now, I will give you one last chance. Open your storage rings and your Dantian and Sea of Consciousness for us to check. Then, we will spare your lives. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows continued coldly. Yu Wuya and the other eminent elders of the Kongshin School changed their expressions. The other side had four third sky of King God Realm warriors. Once they attacked, they would definitely die. Thus, they hesitated. Compared to being killed, it was acceptable to let them check their Dantian and Sea of Consciousness. However, Lu Ming's attitude was firm, which made them hesitate. Lu Ming had the nether dragon behind him. I will give you 3 breaths of time. If you don't agree after 3 breaths, you will die. 3. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said coldly. Yu Wuya and the others changed their expressions. They looked at Lu Ming and then at the young man with the scale between his eyebrows. They were extremely anxious. 2. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said again. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Qin Wushang, you are really impressive. You came to the Qin Tian Star Zone to act like a tyrant. Haha. At this moment, a mocking voice came from afar. Who is it? The young man with the scale between his eyebrows shouted coldly. He looked in the direction of the voice. In that direction, there was a sword light flying towards them at an astonishing speed. In the next instant, the sword light disappeared and a battle sword appeared in the starry sky. The battle sword was 10,000 meters long. It was incomparably huge. 5 figures stood on the sword. A young man and 4 big men. Wu Zifeng, Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others were somewhat shocked. The young man on the sword was really Wu Zifeng. Miss Qingxiang, Lu Ming, Grandpa Yu. Wu Zifeng stepped down and greeted Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. Finally, he bowed to Yu Wuya. Zifeng, you came. Good, good, good. Seeing Wu Zifeng, Yu Wuya was overjoyed. He said good 3 times in a row and seemed to have completely relaxed. Wu Zifeng, it's you. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows couldn't help exclaiming when he saw Wu Zifeng. He seemed to recognize Wu Zifeng. Qin Wushang, now scram. Wu Zifeng coldly shouted. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows was called Qin Wushang. Wu Zifeng, I came this time to investigate the theft of the 9 extinction Heavenly King Manor's treasures. Do you want to interfere? Qin Wushang said coldly. Don't use the 9 extinction Heavenly King Manor to pressure me. You can deceive others, but you can't deceive me. You're just an ordinary disciple of the Qin family. You can't represent the 9 extinction Heavenly King Manor. Don't use a chicken feather as a token of authority in front of us. Wu Zifeng sneered. At the same time, the 4 burly men behind Wu Zifeng also burst out with shocking auras. They were all existences of the 3rd layer of the Divine King realm. Looks like Wu Zifeng also came from the Taishu dynasty. Lu Ming's heart moved. He already knew that Wu Zifeng wasn't someone from the Qin Tian Starfield. It turned out that he came from the Taishu dynasty. His background was bigger than he imagined. Even Qin Wushang seemed to be quite afraid of Wu Zifeng. Qin Wushang's face turned ugly. The 9 extinction Heavenly King Manor's territory was vast and boundless. Naturally, there were also many powerful forces under their command. These forces all existed in the form of families. Each and every huge and ancient family helped the 9 extinction Heavenly King Manor to rule the vast territory. Chapter 29-27. These ancient families had been passed down for countless years. Their foundations were deep and their strength was unfathomable. They were not something the Qin Tian Starfield could compare to. The Wu family and Qin family were such families. However, Qin Wushang's position in the Qin family was not high. Just like what Wu Zifeng said, he was not doing well in the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace. He had only come to the Qin Tian Starfield to show off and could not represent the 9 extinction Heavenly King Palace. Wu Zifeng, it seems like you must get involved. This is related to the 9 extinction divine crystal. If something happens, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Not to mention you. Even your Wu family won't be able to bear the consequences. Qin Wushang said coldly. You don't have to worry about this. Moreover, I can guarantee that the Kongshin school is not the culprit who stole the 9 extinction divine crystal. Now, you can scram. Wu Zifeng said. Good, very good. I can leave, but Qin Wushang gritted his teeth. Halfway through his words, his gaze suddenly swept towards Lu Ming. His figure trembled, and like a ray of light, he charged towards Lu Ming, sending a palm strike towards Lu Ming. The energy whistled, and the palm force pressed toward Lu Ming with overwhelming force. 6th level Heavenly God Realm, Saint Grade Divine Power. In an instant, Lu Ming judged Qin Wushang's strength. At the crucial moment, Lu Ming did not have time to think. He could only circulate his divine power and block with his palm. However, Lu Ming did not expect Qin Wushang to suddenly attack him. In a hurry, he could only circulate 30% of his divine power. Boom! The palm strike collided, and Lu Ming's body violently shook. He retreated 1,000 meters before stabilizing his body. Qin Wushang, what are you doing? Wu Zifeng furiously shouted. What am I doing? This lowly ant doesn't know how to respect his seniors and dares to talk back to me. Today, I will not pursue the matter of the Kongxian school. However, this person must die. Qin Wushang shouted, his face malevolent and filled with powerful killing intent. After he finished speaking, Qin Wushang's aura became even stronger. He took a step forward, and a strong pressure pressed down on Lu Ming wave after wave. This person isn't any weaker than Paragon Cosmos. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Qin Wushang's cultivation was at the 6th layer heaven god realm, and the god force he controlled was at the sacred level. He was a genius on the same level as 9 supremes. However, from Wu Zifeng's tone, Qin Wushang seemed to be doing well in the Qin clan. Such a genius was only average in the Qin clan. How many geniuses did the Qin clan have? In other words, how many geniuses did the 9 extinction Heavenly King Mansion, or even the entire Taishu dynasty have? For a moment, Lu Ming's imagination ran wild, and he even had some desire in his heart. Now, among the younger generation of the Qin Heavenly Star Field, Lu Ming was almost standing at the peak. For example, Emo Juyi, Limitless Sword Dao, Song Yin, Junpei, and the others. As long as they had not broken through, he was confident that he could defeat them. Therefore, he longed for stronger opponents who could bring him pressure and make him stronger. As long as I'm here, don't even think about touching a hair on Lu Ming's head, Wu Zifeng said coldly. He waved his hand. Bang! Behind Wu Zifeng, a burly man stepped out. His berserk aura immediately blocked Qin Wushang. But then, another burly man behind Qin Wushang also stepped out. His aura erupted like a volcano, instantly breaking apart the Wu clan's aura. Qin Wushang regained his freedom. Let the younger generation handle their own matters. We, the older generation, will just watch. That burly man from the Qin clan coldly stared at the Wu clan's expert. Both sides' experts faced each other. However, both sides had brought about the same number of people, and their cultivation bases were also about the same. They just happened to be in a standoff. They couldn't interfere in the matter between Lu Ming and Qin Wushang. Haha, that's right. The younger generation's matters should be handled by themselves. I want to see what gave a lowly ant from the Qin Tian Star Field the courage to speak to me like that. Qin Wushang laughed. His 6th layer heavenly god cultivation base rose to the peak. He took a step forward, walking toward Lu Ming confidently. Just now, he had forced Lu Ming back with a single palm. He could see that Lu Ming was only a 1st layer heavenly god. In his opinion, a 1st layer heavenly god would not be able to withstand a single blow. Qin Wushang, you dare! Wu Zifeng shouted. Unfortunately, his cultivation base was even lower than Qin Wushang's. He couldn't wipe his hands. Brother Wu, since he wants to fight, then I'll accompany him. You don't need to interfere. Lu Ming raised his hand, stopping Wu Zifeng. Hee, kid, you've got guts. However, a piece of trash like you still wants to fight me? Kneel down. Qin Wushang harumphed coldly and raised his hand once again. A giant palm was formed and slammed down at Lu Ming, trying to force Lu Ming to his knees. You're the one who should kneel down. Lu Ming's calm voice appeared. Meanwhile, 10 godly flames were ignited in his body. 10 types of divine powers circulated wildly, gathering together and dashing toward Lu Ming's arm. Whoosh! Lu Ming pointed forward, firing a spear glow into the sky. It soared into the sky, brighter than a meteor. Bang! The spear glow collided with Qin Wushang's palm, resulting in a great explosion. Qin Wushang's palm exploded and dissipated. What? Qin Wushang was astounded. Why had Lu Ming's aura suddenly skyrocketed? His attack was utterly shocking too. It had shattered his attack with a single move. The people who came with Qin Wushang couldn't help but widen their eyes in shock. So powerful. Lu Ming is getting more and more powerful. Wu Zifeng was also astonished. You only have this bit of strength. I thought the geniuses of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace were stronger. Lu Ming's voice was filled with mockery. Kid, you do have some strength. However, I didn't use my full strength just now. Now, regret it. 7 injuries, divine fist. Qin Wushang shouted and changed his attack. His palm turned into a fist. His body emitted a strange radiance that gathered on his fists. Boom! Qin Wushang threw out 2 consecutive punches. The 2 fists were like 2 meteors that shot towards Lu Ming. They were fast, but their power was shocking. This kind of battle strength was no longer below Sovereign Universe's full strength. He was definitely one of the top geniuses in the Qin Tian star field. However, with Lu Ming's current strength, it was easy for him to deal with an opponent like Sovereign Universe. In fact, Lu Ming didn't even need to use his ancient god physique or the battle character art. It was enough to rely on his 10 types of divine power, as well as various divine skills and secret techniques. Divine Dragon Dharma Idol. Lu Ming also threw out a punch. Roar. A dragon's roar resounded through the sky. A huge 9-clawed dragon appeared and pounced at Qin Wushang. Then, Lu Ming threw out another punch. Another 9-clawed dragon appeared. The 2 9-clawed dragons twisted their bodies and pounced forward. The 9 dragon claws on their abdomens continuously clawed out, letting out a terrifying whistling sound as if sharp swords were tearing through the air. In reality, that was indeed the case. Now that Lu Ming had cultivated the invincible sword art, he could control the invincible sword energy. His divine power contained terrifying sword energy attacks. The invincible sword energy was used on the 9-clawed dragon's claws, causing them to become as sharp as swords. This allowed Lu Ming's attack power to reach a new level. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.